So let's talk about your new business. Can you tell
Sure.
us a bit, Russell, about your new operation?
Of course. Yeah, it's called the Saddle River Group. My partner Ron Grant was the president and COO of AOL for a number of years, and he was Jeff Bewkes's chief lieutenant at Time Warner. So really steeped in the media business and the online business, and just a sort of a really brilliant business person with terrific instincts and a great world knowledge who I grew up with. So there could be no better partner than that. But he and I have a particular point of view, and we've seen a lot of, in me from the agency perspective and him from being an executive, seen a lot of consulting types come and go and through our rooms and working with them and working for them and them working for him. And kind of developed a point of view on what's needed in this world. And when I say this world, I mean the connected world, where you've got empowered, networked audiences who want to play by different rules. You've got, again, I've talked to you a little bit about the pressure on these chief executives to do more with less. In a feeling that, in general, it's overwhelming. I think if I were to decide, to say, if you were to say, what's the one negative word that I would use to describe in a radical overgeneralization what C-level executives are feeling, especially CMOs are feeling, it would be overwhelmed. They know that there's so much out there, whether it's technology or media or data, but they can't get their heads around how to use it. It's so noisy, and that noise to signal ratio is way too high. So what do? They take whatever they can, and they leave the rest for another day. They say, I'll get to that later. I'll just take this little bit, and I'll use this, but I can't really get my head around everything, so I'm not even gonna go there. And I think what's happened in the consulting world is the consulting world and agencies have made it way too complicated for folks, for these people. And so we're just trying to simplify it. So we actually believe that there's nothing better than a big idea, than a great idea. And you can come in with your 4-step process and your one-size-fits-all solution and hawk it like every other sort of consulting firm has hawked it for the last several decades. Or you can sit down and really do the hard work and try to come up with an idea that simplifies things, that uses the best pieces of what's out there, but puts it into a big conceptual idea that can actually move things. So instead of, if you were going to liken it to, you have a lot of companies are sort of paralyzed by integrating disparate databases, right? And they spend, this is a good analogy for how we think, they spend years and millions of dollars trying to integrate the databases that they've put together from different maybe mergers and acquisitions. And it invariably never works. They never finish that project. Or you could go in and come up with a very specific idea that you need to pull from the different databases, a program that you would use to drive the integration of the important data, or pull the important data from that and drive that integration and apply it into a very cool, whether it's a marketing program or a biz dev idea or something like that. That's sort of how we think. We think that let's not come up and systematically try to solve every problem that a company has. Let's come up with an idea that allows them to solve something very specific, uses the best of everything that data and technology has to offer, and then build on that.
Yeah, it's so true, and I find as well that collaborating with different people, as you are with your new business partner, as well as bouncing different ideas off of each other, actually results in something terribly different.
Exactly.
Yet familiar.
And it works across a whole number of different domains. So right now we're working with a large media company that's trying to basically create a sustainable online-only business model, and we're helping them develop that business model. A large entertainment company that's growing very, very quickly and trying to create some organizational sense around that. All the way down to a couple of startups that didn't really know what business they were in. And what we did there is we took a look at what's going on in the world and some of the macro trends in the world and say, you think you're in an app business, in a consumer app business. Actually, no, you're not. You're in a data business. And that the data that you're collecting on people to put into this app is actually much more valuable to companies who are looking to connect with people. So everything from trying to hone smaller companies' business models to help large companies figure out how to lean into some of the innovations. That's what we're doing.
Right. So I met recently with Jim Collins, and he's got this interesting theory that creativity really starts at 50. You hit your prime when you're 50 on to whenever.
Yeah.
You're not even scratching that surface yet.
Yeah, I got a few years, but not that much.
So, I guess my question really is, and you've done so much already, what's been your proudest moment and what's ahead for you?
Sure. Well, I think just in terms of the creativity side, that Quest that Quest example was a terrific example of how you bring what's going on in the world together with the technology that's available to you, with a business need, and put it together in something. And I think that was a highlight, and what we did for MSNBC.com was a highlight. And of course, the work that we did for the Lance Armstrong Foundation was certainly a highlight, and Live Strong. I think in terms of outside of specific projects, for me, actually, what I'm most proud of is, and I think it's good for your executives as well, is I've actually been able to have a relatively intense set of jobs and a relatively successful career, but I've also maintained a good work-life balance. And I think that's more available these days than there used to be. A lot of us are working at home. I haven't commuted into an office for a dozen years, which is terrific, and I've been able to bring up my kids and be present, and I haven't missed anything, which is amazing. I actually think it's helped me professionally. I get time to work. I get time to think, and I don't think you can shortcut your way to creativity. I think you need hours, and you need time to actually think your way through things and research things and push, and which you can't do necessarily if you're in meetings 7 hours a day, or you're spending 3 hours a day commuting in and out. It's harder. So you have to do it at night or what have you, do it on the margins. I've been seriously advantaged by the fact that I would go down to New York and I would spend a day or two a week in the agency, but then I would come back and I'd spend the whole next day here thinking and working. So I think that's certainly a part of what I'm proud of is that I've been able to manage that in a way that I never thought would have been available to me when I was 30 years old.
Right. And it's made your life better.
Yeah. It really has.
Terrific.
No question. So that's certainly a source of pride.
Excellent, Russell. That's all I had for you.
Great.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it. That was great.
I look forward to hearing more from you and about you, and we'll be talking again.
Anytime.
Right.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.